Page 26, Seabird. 3/4 time, no sharps or flats. You think, okay, C major, A minor. Well, look at the end. We're down here. Sounds like D minor. Actually, I think it's like a Dorian mode in a C major. I'm no expert in that. I won't get into it. Just know it's not going to be C major or A minor. It's in a different mode. It's going to sound a little different. That's okay. Right hand first. 5th finger. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and then 5th finger. Just crunch up. And then 2nd finger. So the last 2 measures, counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, and that's tied. And then you do that again. And the 3rd line I think you can get. Let's go down to the 4th line. You're here. You ended the 3rd line here, so just it's E flat. And both of those are E flats. Cross over. Then come up. And you're back to what you were doing originally. Now let's go down. You're ending the 2nd line here on page 27 here. Come up. 5th finger. And at the end of the line you see the bass clef. Now we're going into bass clef. The last line on page 27. You're down here. And I recommend you cross over. Use that as a pivot. Cross over and 2/5. Here. Left hand, just broken chords. They may not be the chords you're thinking of, so just play the notes written. All legato. Go down to the 3rd line, your B flat. B flat. And then I do a 2/5. This is the last line on page 26. A flat, E flat. Here, and then here. You can use thumb on the E flat if you like. And then the next measure, if your hand's big enough, you can use 4, but it's easier if you use 5, because you got to hold that down for the measure. As you play this, like that, you're holding that note down. And then thumb. That's what we're after. And then come up, like you were at the beginning. Then the 3rd line down, the last 2 measures, they're on 27. 1 and 2 and 3. I recommend thumb on the A. They don't say anything here on fingering, which is fine. You work out your own fingering. But I need thumb on the A to prepare me for the last line. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and... This way I'm in position for the D-A. Right there. Put the hands together slowly. Easier because the left hand's playing quarter notes, is playing on the beat. You can see how the right hand lines up, so the 8th notes come in between the beats sometimes. Last line on page 26, you're here. That sounds weird, but that's what's written. I didn't do it, he did it. It's not my fault. So forth. Let's go down to the 3rd line on page 27. You're here. Articulation wise, it's all legato. The left hand, when you have the broken chords, it's all legato. Lift up in the phrasing in the right hand. So the end of the line, lift up in the right hand, not the left. connect the left hand, but here. So the last measure, the first line. Here you have to lift up in the right hand because you got to rest. Rest. And here you're lifting up because you got to move, but the left hand, I would connect that. I would connect all that together. So forth. So try and connect these with the slurs. Dynamic wise, it's soft at the beginning. That's the right hand. The left hand has to be very soft. You don't have to stay exactly soft. You can get a little louder and softer. And once you get to know the piece, you start feeling the music. You're not thinking about notes and rhythms and fingering. You feel the music. Then you can feel the dynamics. At the end of the second line, they want you to crescendo a little bit. So then in the third line, you're moderately soft, and there's a crescendo. They want you to gradually crescendo through the whole line up to moderately loud, which is just a little louder than moderately soft. Not a lot. So plan it out. Otherwise, you'll be moderately loud in the second measure. You don't want to do that. So stay moderately soft. Now a little louder. Now you're moderately loud. Now get diminuendo, go down. Now you're soft. So you just got a little excitement going on there at the bottom of page 26. You're now you're back to soft. And you do it again on page 27. At the end of the second line, you come up a little bit to moderately loud, and then start getting softer. On the getting softer part, don't get soft until the last two measures. So take your time. It's very little difference here, and you like do it a measure at a time or so, or a phrase at a time. It's like in the third line down. I can play that whole line at pretty close to moderately loud, not change hardly at all. Down to moderately soft for the next line, and you have a retardando. Now you're soft. Don't get soft until that last chord. You have to plan out these crescendos and decrescendos. Then on top of that, we add pedal to kind of blend everything together and add the overtones and it's legato pedal, and you're changing on each measure is what they're saying. So okay, that's fine. So you push the pedal down right after you play the notes, and then you'll change the pedal after you play the notes in each measure. So it's like this. Etc. That's pretty much the pedal. At the end, the pedal and the hands come up at the same time. Now, at the bottom of page 27, you'll see there is a retardando there at the next, and then there's a little comma, apostrophe. It's called a breath mark. It simply means take a breath. If you were singing it, that would tell you take a breath here. You don't necessarily pause the beat. The beat keeps going. You just take a breath. So cut the G a little bit short and go. And I would lift the pedal up so we get silence in the right hand. The left hand's going to stay down. There's no breath mark in the left hand, just the right hand. So it's here. Lift the pedal up with the note so there's silence in the right hand, and then play the last chord. And then put the pedal down. See, they're showing the pedal down here and lifting up. Well, that defeats the purpose of having a breath mark. I mean, why bother have a breath mark if you're going to cover it up with sound? That's my point. We want silence there in that right hand, so I'm suggesting to you, don't push the pedal down until after you play the chord here. So the last line is here. Like so. So we get a little silence there. Otherwise, cross out the breath mark. Toward the end of the 27, look at the third line there. You see the pedal comes up at the end of the second line, or second measure. Right there. So there's no pedal on this. Now you're pedaling the last beat. The only reason we're pedaling there is to connect it to what's coming. We got to go from here to here. Now he's using the pedal to connect this to that. That's the only reason it's there. So if you pedal, if you finger this so that you're staying here and you got to move, you use the pedal to connect the sound. Here, that's the only reason for that pedal being there. If you finger like I suggested and you put a thumb on that note, then you don't need pedal. You don't need pedal there. So you don't use the pedal again until after the breath mark. Here. And that, just lift up a little early, keep the left hand down and here. So the breath mark, we don't want to mess up the beat. The beat's going to go on. Just lift up a little early on the here. So you're taking a breath. Here. There are different ways of interpreting it. Music notation is not exact. So different people will read this and interpret it differently, and that's okay as far as I'm concerned. I think that's wonderful. So based on what I'm seeing here and my habits and my training, that's how I would interpret it. Somebody else would interpret it differently, and that's okay too. Now when we play this with a metronome, I'm going to hold that fermata down 6 counts instead of 3. Otherwise you just hold it down and let the sound die away. Speed-wise, well, it's a fairly moving, it's a little faster than march. So you have to decide on the speed eventually, but you know, accuracy is more important, so get that first. I would like to play it with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the dynamics, just the notes and the rhythms. I'll give us 3 counts, so let's try it. 1, ready, go. Hold, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, off.